Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. We're about to begin episode 1 of a campaign entitled Intersections. It's part of the World War Cthulhu Cold War series. It was created by Dominic McDowell, developed by Scott Dorward, and written by Scott Dorward, Matthew Sanderson, and Paul Fricker. Matthew himself will be our game master, and we are very happy to have him here. And so, without further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Matt?
Right, thank you very much, Tom. We begin in a lovely period of time, November 1974. So it is, I'll give you the exact date. It is Tuesday, the 6th of February. In fact, no, that's 1973. You can tell I'm correct. It is Tuesday, the 5th of February, 1974. We'll do a quick round of introductions and then give a quick overview of how you react to a particular situation rather than go through the motions of everyone going through the same thing, and it'd be a bit repetitive otherwise. So if we start with Tom, whereabouts are you based while you're between missions? Whereabouts have you got your home base of operations? You're muted.
I tend to move around a lot. Currently, I am based in Constantinople.
You're actually on site. Mm-hmm.
And I'm investigating a number of interesting anomalies. My job is I'm a forensic scientist and a medical person. Biology is my major focus. It's just there's some certain interesting anomalies that tie into my past and things that I've been interested in for a long time. So that's where I am. I'm in Constantinople, but I've been all over the place. I don't really have a home base anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I go where I'm called.
Okay, so you're not necessarily affiliated with the CIA station in Istanbul, but they would be aware of you.
Yeah, and I'm sort of on call. They call me for certain special needs when they need them.
Yeah,
I'm the expert in certain unusual fields of study.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, let's move around to Jeff.
I'm going to say that I'm probably right in the heart of the D.C. area, Washington, D.C. area. So maybe in the suburbs in Virginia, just outside of Langley, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that works, especially as they moved the CIA headquarters in the 50s from DC to Langley. So mm-hmm. There's still a fairly heavy CIA presence in Washington itself.
Okay.
Right. And around to Bill.
My character is actually a Harvard alumni, so he will be splitting his time between Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Berlin, Germany.
Ah. Interesting location in Berlin. Lots of paperwork getting in and out of there even then. Right. In which case, this will probably happen for Bill and Tom first of all, that you are contacted probably fairly late in the evening on Monday evening, your local time, and said from your normal point of contact within the CIA, whether it be a handler or basically an info route that gets to you, your presence is requested in DC pretty much immediately. This is an unscheduled briefing. They want to conduct it in person because it is fairly sensitive. So you are collected by private car and then put on the equivalent of a Learjet. It's a private chartered flight that takes you to Dulles Airport and then into central Washington. For Jeff, it's really simple. They send a car, and you get the message in probably the middle of what would be Tuesday night morning, about 3 a.m. probably. Mm-hmm. So you are probably woken in the wee small hours. So, we'll do a quick round robin. How do you react? Is there anything that you particularly want to take with you? Do you go under protest, or basically put some colour into how your character responds to this?
Well, I'll say that I probably am used to this by now, but I'm still not happy about a 3 a.m. phone call. So I'm used to it, but I'm a little bit angry and perturbed that this can't wait another 3 hours until 6 a.m. at least.
Yeah, it is very unsociable hours.
You think you're pissed?
No traffic though, so that's good.
I am right in the middle of a tracking project, and I really don't want to leave it, but I imagine I probably have an assistant, so I'm going to have to leave it to him. DC calls, they're always interrupting me right at the most inopportune moments. But I'm used to traveling, so I can put my things together very quickly and get on that Learjet. And how long is the flight? Probably.
This is one thing I did a
20 hours? Yeah, probably.
It's not quite that long. It's closer to 11 hours start to finish direct from Istanbul.
They're flying straight there. Yeah.
You'd probably end up stopping at least one point along the way, either to do a partial refuel or to change pilot, etc. You stop at Orly Airport, which is in southeast Paris, because Charles de Gaulle Airport doesn't open until 1975.
Okay.
So at that point, it's still in the process of being built.
Right.
But Orly is the more established airport at that point. When you arrive, particularly then for yourself, Tom, the plane, when it lands on the runway, it doesn't. There's obviously the attendants that come over and start to do refueling. You don't get the impression that it's being put into storage, like being parked up. It's more of a case of they're getting it refueled for an immediate turnaround.
All right.
But go ahead.
I probably go down the ramp. They don't bother to, it's not like parking like a regular airplane. So, am I met like at the bottom of the stairs, or?
Yep, you are indeed. You are met by seems to be a staff driver. Pretty much almost like a limousine type affair.
Okay. Did they give me any kind of short brief or anything to read on the airplane? Or I probably asked them all along the way, so what is this all about? And they're like, we're not going to tell you.
Yeah, the info that they have on the plane. You actually talk with the pilot, because you can quite happily go up to the cockpit and get some information from there. They don't have much to tell you other than that this has been a request that's come in from the OREA, which is the Office of Russian and European Analytics. So it's not a department, obviously a department you've heard of, but not a department that you've had much briefing with, because they are the analysts. They're the guys that sit in the back rooms and put together the vast amounts of information that come in on a daily basis. They're not exactly active out in the field. So it's an odd request that you've been called in by them.
Well, the Russian connection sort of intrigues me, but I tend to be fairly stoic. So although I'm really kind of pissed off inside, I'm more annoyed than anything else. I just, fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Jeff's a bit annoyed about it being that early in the morning. How does Bill react?
My character's a company man. So he's used to this. He receives the call. He gets up, has black coffee. He puts on a $500 bespoke suit He looks like he just, rolled out of a magazine. He's fastidiously dressed, even at 3 o'clock in the morning, shaven, fresh haircut, bag packed, sidearm, red, standard issue. And I go and I get in the car and I let, pretty much like Tom, I'm used to this. I'm a company man. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. This is my life, and this is what I've chosen.
Good. Right. In which case, the different cars that come and collect you, because you arrive at slightly different times, probably only with about half an hour of each other, go towards the Fairfax Hotel, which is on Fairfax at Embassy Row. One of the fairly old historic hotels in Washington. It's a little way further north of where the old CIA headquarters was, but it's in like the northwest corner of downtown. It's a very nice, opulent hotel, but again, at this point, because it's the wee small hours of the morning, there's pretty much the concierge up and no one else. So your cars deposit you at the front lobby, and says there'll be someone waiting for you inside.
Thank you.
And then over the course of about 15 minutes, that's, say, Jeff arrives first, and then followed by Bill, and then Tom bringing up the third. But then it's very clear that there's just the three of you there. So do a quick, again, round as to describe kind of how you're dressed and whether do you know anyone else that's there?
It's a good question. I was going to ask that.
That is completely up to you if you want to have known any other character from previous missions, or whether you are quite happy to go in blind.
I'm going to say I actually know Jeff, because we're both intelligence officers. If we've both been with the company for long enough time, we've probably crossed paths or read reports from each other, or maybe needed to talk on the phone about other agents or other people that we're handling or other things that we've received. So, it's not a hugging opportunity, but it's, nice to see you, a nod across a room, or here we go again type thing. So that's my assumption there. Tom's character I'm not familiar with.
And I'm dressed like in a suit, but I'm a doctor. So
so this will be a good opportunity then on a couple of fronts to do some introductions.
Well, gentlemen, this seems to be the place. Not very many of us. I'd expected there to be more, but perhaps they're just late. I'm Dr. Jason Jacoby, a biologist, forensic expert. And
Dr. Jacoby, pleasure to meet you. Ian Somerton.
It's pronounced Jacoby, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Somerton.
We're not going to do that again, are we, Tom?
I'm trying to be stoic. Don't make me giggle.
I'm sorry.
Your name's not on your screen, though. I don't know who you are.
Oh, sorry.
And
Doctor, nice to meet you, Doctor. My name is Robert LeBeau. You can call me Bob if you want.
Bob. Well, if I call you Bob, then you can call me Jace, which is what most of my friends call me. Any of you are in any need of medical treatment?
Not yet. The night's young.
Did you guys have a hard time getting here?
I came from Constantinople. Sorry, Istanbul.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm a bit, I slept a bit on the plane, but it's been a long flight, 11 hours.
Wow. Big time difference there, I guess. Jet lag.
How long did it take you to get here?
Only about an hour, if that.
So you're local?
Yeah.
And you, Mr. Somerton?
I'm out of Cambridge.
Oh, that's a nice area. I went to Cambridge.
I'm a Harvard man myself. Yes, sir.
Harvard Medical School.
Go Crimson Tide, or whatever it is. I don't know.
Do either one of you have any idea what's going on here? This seems rather... Well, we know it's CIA, so it is covert, but it seems overly covert. Usually give me a briefing to read on the airplane while we're flying. I had nothing to read on that airplane. It was excruciating.
As soon as you say CIA, I look around, make sure nobody's listening.
I thought that was just the three of us.
The concierge has gone back behind into a backroom office, so it is literally just the three of you stood in this rather nice combination of marble-floored and dark wood-panelled walled lobby.
Nice hotel.
Very nice.
They probably don't have all of the amenities of an actual modern hotel, but it's stylish, I suppose, quaint.
Is there any 70s tackiness to it at all?
No, if anything, you could best describe the decor and the feel of it as very Parisian. It is quite a refined, quite upper class hotel.
Okay.
So it's definitely this is a place where dignitaries would come in. I know that Eisenhower had, I think, his inaugural dinner here. So it is somewhere that is fair to say fairly prestigious in the capital. You're left alone for about 5 minutes, so a little bit of small talk, say introductions and so forth, and then what would best be described as a waitress wearing hotel uniform comes down a short flight of marble steps from the direction of the dining hall and looks between the three of you. You would be the Dunbar party, I take it.
I suppose that's true, yes.
If you'd like to follow me, I'll take you to your table.
Thank you, man.
I look at the other two like, surprising. All right.
And she leads you through towards the dining area, and no one is up. The kitchen should be closed hours upon hours ago. And sat in the middle of the room, the series of round tables, again all laid out for the breakfast service. There is a man, or in fact two men, sat there, both in business suits. Both look like they've got bags under their eyes, that they've been up for quite an exceptional amount of time. There's the smell of coffee is quite strong as you get close to them. And it looks like they're just fine. They're just starting to butter up rolls. Looks like they're getting ready for a very late dinner. One of the men stands up. He's slightly rotund, so relatively tall, just over 6 foot. Small degree of stubble. Very round glasses. He smiles quite warmly and says, "Gentlemen, please, if you'd like to take a seat. I understand some of you are going to be quite maybe a bit peckish after a long journey, specifically looking at Dr. Jacoby. If you'd like to partake, we have a steak dinner lined up for you."
You're talking my language.
Well, I'd like some coffee at the moment.
Oh yes, we pretty much have it coming regularly. They're filling it up because boy, we need it. We haven't had sleep in the last 48 hours.
All right, so I sit down with them.
Yep. Take it. Likewise, then Laveau and Somerton also take seats.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
can I ask too real quick? Is any of this so far considered out of the ordinary?
This is clandestine, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's not unheard of to have off-site meetings at such places.
Okay.
I kind of half expected Chinese food, and that they would give us our top secret orders in little fortune cookies at the end that we would break open and find out where we were supposed to go. It's quite clandestine, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, particularly if you're again taking in the scenery and surroundings here. Given the size of the dining room, it doesn't echo particularly in here. Mm-hmm. So the acoustics are quite nice and contained to your table. Trying to bug any area here would be pretty difficult. You would pretty much need a bug on the table for anyone to hear this. So this is quite a nice room or quite a nice location for having a long discussion that you don't want particularly overheard, and especially at this time of night when everyone in the building, even most of the night staff that are pretty much skeleton staff, everyone else here is asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I suppose introductions all around, gentlemen. We don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
We don't recognize these men, do we?
There's a vague recollection, but it's no one that you've spoken to previously.
Okay.
So the first gentleman again starts off. Thaddeus Dunbar. I'm the regional director for near and Middle East operations, and this is my assistant, Jeremy Mueller. We have a bit of story to tell you. Obviously, looks between you. You've made introductions or know each other, I take it?
Yes, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
These two seem to know one another better than I'm a stranger to both of them.
Bob and I have worked together before.
Ah, gotcha.
I'm sorry, did you say Mr. Dunbar?
Yes. Yeah, Thaddeus Dunbar.
Thaddeus, okay.
And Jeremy Mueller.
That's it.
Yep.
Right. We might as well get going, and we'll see as food comes out, we can take a break and say have a much needed refreshment. The reason for bringing you in quite at such an ungodly hour as this is that we are on a bit of a clock. We've received information actually coming out of the Istanbul office. So this is where he looks across to Jacoby. We didn't want to give you briefing on site because we wanted to give everyone a briefing together, at least the first wave of people we're sending out there. But we have a potential walk-in. We received contact from a local information dealer, Uktu Makar.
I'm sorry, what was that name again?
Uktu Makar. He's a known information dealer. He supplied the station in Istanbul on a semi-regular basis with anything that he considers to be useful for us that comes in. He came to us with a note that he had been approached by a suspected, or at least was previously suspected, now confirmed, KGB operative by the name of Vadim Kasakov. Kazakov is wanting to come in. He wants to defect. We've only got relatively basic information on him, though, so we need to get more about him on the ground to assess A, whether his intention to defect is genuine, and B, what information can we get out of him. It's all well and good having him come across, but if he doesn't give us anything that we don't already know, it's a lot of effort to go to for something that, frankly, we could spend our attention in a much more productive manner.
It certainly could also be a trap designed to embarrass the CIA.
Potentially.
If his intention is not genuine.
And so this is part of what your mission will entail, is to go out there and assess whether Kazakov genuinely wants to defect, if he is going to be useful, and then if you make the call that he is, bring him in. We don't want to involve the local station particularly, because as you've quite rightly identified, Doctor, that if this is a trap, if this is a ploy, then we could be potentially putting our agents on the ground in danger and leaving a city that is pretty much in the front line of the conflict.
Indeed.
Yeah, almost unmanned as a result. We have a very minimal complement, as I'm sure you'll be aware, over there anyway, of staff. So we want to try and keep them ring-fenced from this whole thing as much as possible.
In other words, you want to. We're not going to be going as CIA. We want to keep the CIA out of this as far as any information transfer goes. Nobody should know that we're CIA.
Oh, the local staff will certainly know of your presence because it would be a bit crazy not to tell them. But I'd be prepared for some resentment on their part that we don't think them, that they may think that we don't trust them with an operation of this magnitude. They may see you coming in as representatives from Langley as being sidelining them deliberately, but session, that's what you're doing, is you are going in and pushing them out of the way, but it's for their own good, just in case this does go south very quickly.
Well, let's hope that they're professional enough to accept that.
Kyle Layton, who's he's the station chief out there, he's a good man. He's been in the position for a fair while. I will pretty much bet that he is going to be on side with you. I don't know much about his staff and his cover, the consulate general.
What do we know about Vladim Kasikov already?
He pulls over a notepad and quickly scans through. We know that he is a captain first rank in the Soviet Navy before he was recruited into the KGB. But up until now, we only believed him as a suspected agent. He'd shown certain signs of being in a good position to be an operative, but there'd been nothing confirmed up until this point. So now that he's come in and he hasn't made direct contact with the CIA. He's gone through this information broker, this Makar.
Uktuk Makar.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to double up on that as far as confirming that he's KGB. That's already been established.
Yeah, the local office have taken care of that. Mm-hmm. They had a fairly intensive day or so pulling up what information they can, and all the information they've been able to pull in suggests that he is on the level.
Mm-hmm. Has he given an official reason why?
He has stated that he is unhappy with something that the KGB are currently involved with, but he won't reveal any further information until he meets with the representatives of the CIA on the ground. Another reason for sending someone from Langley is that it makes it look like we're taking this very seriously, that we are effectively sending people from the top to deal with him. So this is a show of faith on our part.
Okay. Well, I trust that Langley will be able to analyze any information he might give us to decide whether they're not just feeding us a line or, if it's actually legitimate information.
This is where Muller perks up. A lot of this decision-making is going to be taken care of by you guys on the ground. We've been given your names as the key people to deal with this. You can tell he's a little bit, best describe it. He's a little bit on edge when he says that. It's like it's not his decision to send you. It's almost you get the impression that he would have picked another team to do this job. That this is a job that should be in his hands, but has been removed from him.
I kind of sat up a little bit straight in my chair when he referred to us as being the top. Really? Okay.
So my question is under normal circumstances, would the three of us discuss this in front of these two as to what our plans would be, or do we go off and make our own plans?
Either or is acceptable.
Well, I was going to say, they look like they're exhausted and tired, and they're probably not really involved in it anyway. They're just giving us the information.
What about our cover stories? Is that going to be provided, or are we coming up on all that for ourselves?
No, standard legends have been established for you. You'll be going to the American Consulate General in Istanbul. It's actually a little bit further north than the main city itself, so it's a little bit removed from the area. But there is a fairly large American community around there, so you'll be you'll certainly be at home. You are assigned as consular agents. You're brought in for some fairly delicate but confidential negotiation that is taking place with some clients, obviously business clients, that are looking to establish east-west trade routes. So a lot of the staff there will know that you're working on some fairly confidential, hush-hush material, so they won't be going prying. The only people that will know, obviously, of your true identity and the reason why you are there are the CIA staff. So we have Kyle Layton, who's your station chief. So he's basically your head on the ground. Gail Bennett is a field operative who's stationed there as well. She will actually meet you with a car when you arrive at Istanbul airport. She'll then take you up to the Consulate General to discuss matters there. And the American consul himself, Oscar Harlow, he is aware that he has a CIA station in his consulate. It's only fair and his standard practice that he should be informed. He, again, is a man of the highest integrity. He is trusted. He is actually the son of a former senator. So he is someone that has a good degree of power and influence here at the capital. Don't piss him off.
Harlow's first name was?
Oscar.
Oscar. Okay.
And those are pretty much the only 3 people in town that should know that you're coming.
Okay. Layton, Bennett, and Harlow.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Does Katsikoff speak English?
We believe he's multilingual, so yes. He poses very much in a similar manner as what we're sending you over there as. He's a representative for I believe, an import-export business based in Odessa. That he travels around the Black Sea to the various ports, posing as a representative of this import-export company. That they can then obviously establish business-to-business trade, and it allows him to do a circuit around the region to pick up as much information as he can from the front line.
Well, I'm wondering if... I have an office there already in Istanbul. That's where I came from. I'm doing medical research. I'm wondering if we could use the angle of getting him into my offices for medical reasons, which is where we could do a good job assessing his seriousness about, gives us a perfectly legitimate front to bring him in that case.
Yeah, I mean, this will all be discussions you'll have with him. This is Dunbar saying that we know that a meeting has been set up with Makar where you can discuss, obviously, meeting then Kazakov face to face. That would be something to go through him.
All right. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, otherwise, gentlemen, do you have any further questions from either myself or my colleague here?
How about time? Are we under any time constraints one way or another?
We know that the meeting has been scheduled with Makar for the day after tomorrow. Obviously, Istanbul is 8 hours ahead for us here, so it's already midday there now. So it's partly by travel time going back over there.
They were refueling the airplane when I left the airplane a while ago.
Yeah, we're planning on getting you out there as soon as we can.
The impression that my ass left in the chair is probably still warm.
Yeah, he chuckles.
Well, shall we eat and then go?
Yep. Or if you want to get some shut-eye first, then that's certainly welcome. We've got your rooms booked here, because we weren't too sure if you're going to be arriving either now or slightly later. You will be joined by another team when you arrive. They might come in waves. We don't want to alert anyone that's watching there, specifically anyone from MIT, not the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT is our counterparts in Turkey. It's the Turkish secret, effectively Turkish services.
Well, then I guess we have some time to discuss this amongst ourselves. I guess the flight out is any time that we want it to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the latest we'd like to leave it would be 4:30 this afternoon. So that gives you time for some. That gives you time for some rest. Gives you time if you want to hit the Library of Congress, or if you want to do requisition anything in particular. It will give us time to get the diplomatic bag set so that we can get anything over there without having to go through customs. But that's the absolute latest that we want to leave it is 4:30 this afternoon.
And you have our all of our you've got all the information in order to give us any false identifications that we need, or
all that will be delivered to you at the end.
Consulate papers. Yeah. All right. Well then, we haven't eaten. Where's our food? It's like the waiting staff in here is so slow. It's not like it's 3 a.m.
Dunbar does raise a cup and hits it with a spoon that does ring. It sends a rather harsh ring out across the room, at which point the waitress that you saw earlier comes back in through the main door. Dunbar just nods to her. She nods in return, and that starts the process of food being brought out, along with another two jugs of coffee, which are quite quickly devoured.
Okay.
Yep. And otherwise, a nice, quiet, and relative, much appreciated dinner follows.
All right, gentlemen.
I was going to say Dunbar and Muller. At which point they eat fairly quickly. They do make their goodbyes fairly quickly, evidently off to hit the sack. Yeah. They leave you to say that the room here is yours. Collect keys from the front desk. Over to you.
Gentlemen, shall we get together, let's say at noon? Sleep until then?
That's fine. I assume that they've given us briefings to read that kind of maybe go in a little bit more detail as to the verbal briefing that we just had. I'd like to see something in writing, so I'm just going to go back to my room and kind of review that.
Yeah. This isn't a setup. The documents they provide you go over everything as you would expect.
Yep.
They lay out the definite parameters of your mission, which again, as you would expect.
Okay.
One other thing that does get that you do notice as you go through the paperwork, there is a page which is typed out on dot matrix feed paper, which has been inserted into all of your documents. And what it says on there is there's building anticipation as he tries to get the share working. Is this.
No pressure.
Oh.
All right.
Shall one of us read that out loud?
Take it, Bill.
All right. I have to figure out how to move these. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Greetings to our American cousins. It has come to my attention that you are soon to be flying to Istanbul. This is an area of interest to me, and this is the first time we have had chance to get Section 46 operatives on the ground there. Istanbul was formerly home to one of the most powerful cults in Europe, known as the Brothers of the Skin. Intelligence suggests that this cult has disappeared, perhaps in its entirety. There are numerous reasons why this might be the case. The cult has died out, they have been destroyed by a rival power, they have gone to ground, they have moved their base of operations, and so on. The fact remains that there is a perceived power vacuum in the occult underground of Istanbul that other cults may seek to exploit. If multiple factions attempt to claim the city, any resulting conflict, should it spill out into the open, could threaten the stability of the region. We need to know what is happening there. Your mission: Find out what happened to the Brothers of the Skin. Find out what cults are active in the city and what they are doing. Assess whether any of the active cults pose an immediate threat to the safety and stability of the city and region, and if any cults do pose such a threat, deal with them as best as possible. I understand you will be directed to Uktu Makar, a known information dealer, in relation to your main assignment. According to my intelligence, Makar is known to have associated with various individuals active in the occult underground. It is my recommendation that he be approached for leads in regards to Section 46's concerns in the area. Best of luck, and it's signed N.
There you go.
Now, question for the GM. Would we be aware at all of some of the history of the Brotherhood of the Skin?
Other than the fact that they have a reputation that they were known to have a stranglehold on much of Europe, particularly around the 20s and the turn of the century. But since the mid to late 20s, not much has been heard of them at all. Right. Definitely they seem to have, their power and influence has very much shrunk back to Istanbul. They were known to have come from that area, or Constantinople as it was then. Mm-hmm. So they are native to the area, but actions since then, not people.
Are we also aware of some of the other cults that are throughout Europe?
Europe is pretty much not an unknown area, but it's more of a case that there's no one single group that claims to be dominant in there. The closest thing that comes up is actually more towards Arabia, North Africa, the Middle East, known as the Black Brotherhood. They are a terrorist organization known to most intelligence agencies around the world. Analysts have had, say, a fair number of hours head-scratching trying to work out what the hell this group are playing at and who they're affiliated with. They will bomb, they will kill, they will slaughter anyone. They don't seem to have any preferences on politics. They seem to just go for whoever will pay them the most. So trying to predict what they're up to is almost impossible. But that's the Black Brotherhood are the biggest force, at least in the occult movement, because there are rumours from what you are familiar with your Section 46 and M briefings, that they may be affiliated with one form of an avatar of Nyarlathotep. There does seem to be a lot of chaotic action here, as per the analysts not being able to know where the hell they're going to strike next. But that's only rumours and supposition at this point.
Hence the chaos connection.
Indeed.
Okay. Very interesting. So
if each of us received this dot matrix printout, I guess that would also raise the question, if Jeff and I know each other, do we know each other at the CIA level, or do we know each other also at the Section 46 level?
That, again, is completely up to you. Section 46 is very much a covert organization within the CIA, within SIS, and the various Western intelligence agencies. It has no official power as such. It has lots of connections, and it has lots of people that have been brought into it by various different routes, but it doesn't advertise itself in that respect. Right. So if you know that someone else that you know is not a Section 46 operative, all well and good. But it might mean, for instance, you didn't know that Jacoby was one before tonight. So that is up to you.
They might not know it still. I might not know that they are.
Exactly.
They probably know each other is. So.
Well, given that you've received the paperwork and that this seems to be a fairly cut and paste copy in each folder, you can maybe come to the assumption, or assume at least, that each of you have received the same notes, because otherwise how would they? There doesn't seem to be any identifying mark that says this one's for you, this one's for you, this one's for you. So they are unnamed.
Right. But we wouldn't discuss that here. We might discuss it in the airplane, but that's it.
Yeah, somewhere nice and private.
Ian, do you want to just assume that you and I are both aware of each other then? Just
Sure. That's, yeah,
and
that's fine by me.
Our suspicions of the doctor.
Yeah, we can give him this.
We think he's with us, but we're just not 100% sure.
Right. He hasn't given the secret handshake or shown the tattoo yet. So, yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it would be reasonable that there's a possibility that you might go, that's where I've seen him before. He's associated.
Down at the local cult meeting.
Cultist Anonymous.
It's like the elks or the eagles or the mooses, it's, yeah.
Yeah. When you shake hand, you extend your forefinger upon the wrist.
46. This would be really obvious doing this in the air. All right. Well, I sleep. I just get ready for bed and I sleep, and I know that I'm going to get a few hours of sleep. I call in a wake-up call for 11 o'clock.
Gotcha.
It'll take me all of 15 minutes to shower and put together my things.
Okay, yeah. In which case, sleep is uneventful. It's much needed and very relaxing and very peaceful. And especially in such an opulent setting as this, the hotel is very nice. The beds are amongst the most comfortable that you've probably ever slept in. And you are woken at exactly 11 o'clock as requested, or when everyone else wants to put through wake-up calls too. Again, the message from the front desk say just wake-up call as requested, sir. Hope you have a good morning. And then again, over to you on what you want to do in terms of preparation or anything else before you head to the airport.
Well, I gather up all my stuff. I take a shower, I gather up my stuff, and I go down and I wait in the lobby. I expect them to be there within a few minutes.
Yeah, my standard cold shower, black coffee, make sure my suit has been pressed and left there for me, and, cufflinks, tie downstairs.
I leave a nice tip for that, because they have to make the bed.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there has been already the do not disturb sign put on the door because you'll be waking late.
Right. So as soon as I see them, I'm like, gentlemen, do they have a car for us?
Yes, you do. You have a stretch limo, which is pulled up outside the front lobby when you want it. So it's on call.
All right. Gentlemen, shall we?
Shall we do?
We shall.
Do anything in advance here? Do we need to do any sort of research?
Well, we do have the car at our disposal. I don't know how much information we're going to find on the cult.
I think we have all the information we need. I think anything that detours us from the airport. I think I'd rather us get there, get on the ground, and take our time, have the extra hours to assess information on the ground as opposed to here.
Yeah, if we were in Massachusetts, we could. I believe Miskatonic Library has some interesting texts that we could consult, but we don't have time for that. So, I will just go. We'll find what we need in Constantinople. I assume, gentlemen, that you're armed. I am not. Or am I?
I am.
I am not a doctor. I'm armed with my talent.
What about, do we know, I know things are fluid, but do we have a rough idea as to how long we're supposed to be there? Is this like a week or?
Something like this, it's going to be as long as it takes.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too long. We should be able to make contact with Mr. Vladimir.
Vadim Kasakov.
Kasakov. I know I wrote it down. There it is. Vladimir Kasakov. We should be able to assess him in a single meeting, and then if we need, extract him from the area, lift him from the area.
Agreed. I don't think this is. I mean, we've done this before. We all know the drill.
A single meeting? Are we just expecting to just walk in and just ask him face to face?
Why not? I mean, if he's interested in the CIA taking him out.
What if he's lying?
What difference would it make?
That's what we're there to find out.
That's
where our expertise comes in.
Even if he's lying, then we interrogate him once we've got him in CIA headquarters.
Okay.
The only thing that we have to worry about is if the whole thing is a setup. If the thing is set up to embarrass the CIA, embarrass any of us, we have to make sure that the CIA isn't mentioned, that the CIA isn't. To make sure that he's not recording our session with him in order to then use it against the CIA. Otherwise, I think it's just a simple extraction. You just get a hold of him, assess whether he's really serious about it, and if he is, get him on a plane to the United States.
Okay.
Through the American consulate. I mean, the one that I'm most concerned with is this Uktu Macaw. He's an information dealer. I'm assuming that we're talking about this maybe in the limo and then on the airplane.
Yeah.
Information dealers are notoriously unreliable. I mean, you might be able to get information out of them, but then they're going to sell that information right back to the bad guys if they're out for making money. You know what I mean?
True, but at the same time, he seems to be known. Thaddeus Dunbar seems to, in other words, I would assume that the CIA vets their information gatherers. So there's got to be a certain amount of trust in order to, it's not so much that we distrust the information officer, it's that we distrust Vadim Kasakov.
Right, because Macaw doesn't want to poison the well. It's evidently that he's on the payroll, so to speak, and his information has been good in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why he came to us, because the first time that he sells us short or shortchanges us or deliberately lies or misleads us, then there goes his paycheck, right?
Unless somebody offers him an exorbitant amount of money to betray us, which would not be out of the ordinary.
No, not at all.
Given $1 million, he could just disappear. So we have to be careful. As I say, my opinion is that whatever information, whether he's lying or telling the truth, once we have the information, we can assess that. We don't have to assess that. The CIA will assess that information for itself.
GM, is that true, or is that what our job is? We are the CIA. We're supposed to assess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did make it fairly clear that it would be...
We're supposed to be the lie detector, so to speak.
Okay.
We're not just supposed to bag him and send him to Langley.
Well, he's wanting to defect. Okay. We're trying to determine whether he's serious, whether there's any value to anything that he knows.
Correct.
Because just because he wants to defect doesn't mean that the CIA is going to go out of its way to grab him. But if he's got important information, if he's got strategic information, then it's worth it.
It is, but this is a vetting process, and we are the vetters. That's how you need to look at it.
Well, right. But I'm simply talking about the extended end. once he's out of the country, then he'll be in CIA custody. They can find out all the information or
correct
what they want.
But it's almost like this is a test, and we're going to ask him for certain pieces of information, and we're going to ask him, and then it's up to us to verify that and find out if it's tasty or not, or if he actually really has something to offer of value. If not, then he can go back to the KGB.
Well, and here's the other danger, and that's that the KGB is not a bumbling organization. There is a high chance that they know that he's interested in defecting, and they're watching him like a hawk.
There you go. Absolutely.
So, like I say, we have to make sure that we're not just embarrassed in this whole thing.
Or killed.
Or killed. Now, if we're on the airplane flying at this point, I don't know. Is there a way that agents in Section 46 can identify one another without saying, "Hey, are you in Section 46?"
One of the key things that's been passed down through various agents is that they do have a office on the 10th floor of Century House, which is the SIS headquarters in London. So they do make reference to, if you've ever been to Century House, have you been to the office on the 10th floor? And that's as it comes up in casual conversation, as if you've dealt with other agencies as part of the special relationship between the US and the UK.
So you just work that into a conversation.
Yeah.
So we don't just say, "Are you a friend of N?" It's like,
sorry, did you
are you a friend of Bill W? Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose at a certain point, after we've gone over all of this and we're flying along in the airplane, we might chit-chat a bit about our pasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I might say something along the lines of, well, once when I was visiting the 10th floor at Century House, there was but I'm making bullshit up. I'm just throwing the reference out there. So at that point, you should know that I'm also an agent.
Right.
And I should know that you're an agent because you know that I'm an agent.
And now we have to kill you.
Yeah, that's when Ian and I look at each other and say, "Let's get him."
Okay.
You can try, gentlemen.
Already know.
Well, I can't think of anything else until we get to Constantinople. I'm sorry I keep calling it that. I've just been used to calling it that for 2.5 years.
Did you say that's where you just came from?
Yes, I have an office there.
Is there anything you can tell me or Ian as to, what when we land, what can we expect? What's the atmosphere like? Are things tense? Are things?
Things are always tense in Istanbul. You have to just kind of play it by ear. There's a lot of political stuff going on there all the time. The phrase of political intrigue is often referred to as Byzantine. That's Byzantium right there. That's the city of Byzantium. So, yeah, just be careful. Don't show any weakness.
Is it known that the KGB has a large presence there, or is this sort of just an outlier?
I think, like the CIA, the KGB has a presence everywhere. I'm not sure how large it is, but it's a strong political area. So, yeah, I'm sure they've got a very strong presence there. I myself am stationed there because I'm working on certain bits of research. Not exactly sure of what you're aware of, but if you're in Section 46, there's some pretty strange things out there. And Constantinople tends to be a place where there's been some very strange things over the years.
Elaborating on the political point, because this is something that you will all be aware of as members of the agency, there has been for the last few years a certain degree of anti-American sentiment in the city, mainly stemming out of left-wing student influence, protesting about the Vietnam War. So there has been attacks on US Navy ships as they've passed through the area, other American bases again stationed in the region. It's not particularly active at the moment, but it has been something that has flared up every so often over the course of the last few years, while the conflict has been brewing up in the Far East.
Now, my office isn't too far from the American consulate, so we can use that as kind of a secondary base of operations.
Do we all speak the language?
I do.
Turkish? You'll find that a lot of them speak English, but I don't speak Turkish. I probably have a smattering of Turkish because I'm there right now. But as far as Kazakov goes, I speak fluent Russian.
Okay.
Yeah, that is pretty much true. That the vast majority of the population will know at least enough conversational English to get by. They might not necessarily be able to read it, but definitely they'll be able to have at least some kind of broken conversation.
It was part of the British Empire, so.
And ever since the Second World War, it has pretty much, while it remained neutral for most of the war up until when Turkey declared war on Germany in 1945, it was very much a city of spies. It was a neutral city. And it's pretty much remained a hotbed ever since.
That's interesting.
It's beautiful. Some beautiful architecture there. Very old. Some very dirty places in there. Sort of get used to the culture.
So this is my own ignorance. Roughly speaking, like Istanbul or Constantinople, how big of a city are we talking? Is this like New York City equivalent, or much smaller, or I really have no idea?
That's a good question. I haven't got a comparison in terms of scale to other cities, but it's pretty damn big when you look at it on a map. The Bosphorus Strait, which separates the European side from the Asian side of the city pretty much sprawls up almost the whole of the strait, definitely on the European side, to a lesser extent on the Asian side. But yeah, it's a big sprawling metropolis with a lot of very different regions as well. The further north you get, the more open it gets. But towards the south, where you have the likes of the famous Grand Bazaar district, where the various big high-profile mosques are, that's very labyrinth of alleys and streets and so on. But again, get more open up as it opens up more as you get towards the outskirts or the north of the city. The main district that you will probably be based in is Beyoğlu, which is when it was originally the capital, when Constantinople was the capital of Turkey. That was where all the various embassies were based. But after Ataturk moved the capital to Ankara, the area still remains a very international and very multicultural district, but it's where the vast majority of consulate generals are based, rather than just regular consulates. This is where a lot of foreign interests still base their main consuls in the whole country here, rather than moving them to the capital.
It was the capital of the Roman Empire, so like Rome, it's fairly big, but it's in the middle. It's tight because they didn't have vehicles back then. So labyrinthine. That's a really good word because that's really kind of what it is.
Oh yes.
Is it still considered like a normal modern city for this time in the 70s?
Ish.
Not modern. Yeah, there's some modern, but
there's bits of it that are, but emphasis on the bits. It's certainly not everywhere.
Okay.
Some of it is still going to be fairly old school.
Okay.
It's a 2,000-year-old city. So.
Right. About half an hour before you land, this is actually landing in Paris. So you're going for Jacoby. This is going back the way you came.
Right.
The pilot comes out. So obviously, it's in autopilot. It's not like the plane suddenly takes a nosedive. He comes out to give you a quick brief. Says, we'll be swapping you over onto a commercial airliner from this point on to help with anyone that's looking for entrance for operatives into the country.
Okay.
You'll be flying first class Pan Am from Orly Airport to the main Istanbul airport, which is Yishika Airport down in the southwest. So travelling first class as consulate dignitaries. You'll be coming in as normal individuals rather than via private flight. So it just helps you come in a bit more in hiding in plain sight, shall we say.
Now, as far as our cover as a consulate, is there a way that my knowledge base incorporates into that? Like, I mean, I can understand if they're dignitaries or diplomats or whatever, but I'm a doctor, so
yeah, it could be a scientific research company you're dealing with.
Okay.
And all the details have been nicely wrapped up as confidential. Okay. So no one knows, no one is in that need to know circuit as to what it is you're dealing with.
Right. Okay, cool. So the answer is, oh, so what do you do? We say, I'm sorry, that's confidential.
You can say you work for the consulate, but that's about as much as you need to elaborate on. Because then it is, I was going to say patient. It is client confidentiality at that point kicks in.
Right. Right.
Do we need to come up with our own fake identity names? Or is that too much?
No, you can either use your own names, or you can come up with a false name that then will be fitted into the legend that you've got. It's completely up to you.
I kind of have to keep my name because people know me there.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, you're a known face. That would be a little bit odd if you started coming up with a different name for some reason.
Interesting. You're going to have to keep your story straight as to who you tell you're working with the consulate.
Okay. You can always just do like James Bond and go in there and say, my name's James Bond.
Yeah, you can use your real name. It's not going to cause any problems. It's certainly not frowned upon.
Okay. I'll probably do that then, just to keep it easier.
Keep it simple. Yeah. The less lies you tell, the less you have to keep up with.
Exactly. It makes that having to keep track of who you've told what to, who am I to this person, it keeps all of that down to zero.
Maybe I'll tell everybody in Istanbul that my name is Robert, and in America I tell everybody my name is Bob.
There you go. And in formal situations, you probably call yourself Robert.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I tell them where all the good restaurants are.
Oh, there's loads in Beirut, loads of them. Another good area to go to is Bebeth, which is up in the north. Yeah, again, it's more the more northerly area. Again, lots of wonderful fish cuisine around. It's on the Bosphorus. So.
They're some of the best fish you've ever had.
Some of the best coffee as well. Plenty of coffee shops, especially around the bazaar, the Grand Bazaar.
Yes, gentlemen, this is the birthplace of coffee. So.
Maxwell House was formed here.
Philistine.
Which was the kind that had the Turk on the cover on the as their logo? I can't remember. Was that Maxwell House or?
I don't think so. One
of them had the guy in the yellow thing with the turban on his head sipping the coffee. I can't remember which one it is. It was a popular brand.
Sanka.
No, it wasn't Sanka.
Right. How about, can I ask, would we know the other agents that would be joining us, or would that just be revealed at the proper time?
That will be revealed as and when. They will make contact with you. That from the paperwork that you've been given already, you will be their point of contact. They will approach you when they arrive.
Okay, got it.
Oh, and by the way, gentlemen, if you're not used to Turkish coffee, The grounds are in the coffee. They're very finely ground, and so you drink only about 2/3 of your coffee. Leave the mud at the bottom. Or you can drink the mud, and then you'll be awake for 2 days.
I can attest to that. Yes.
I love Turkish coffee. And it's sweet. They say
What sort of
sweet.
doctor are you, Mr. Jacoby?
I'm sorry?
What sort of doctor are you?
I am a biologist, research biologist. I have a background in forensics and surgery. So if you get your arm cut off, I can sew it back on.
Okay, good.
And if it's an alien arm, I can tell you which alien it is.
Right. On that wonderful note about potentially losing limbs, we'll cut forward to you landing just outside Paris. You are shown through immigration there into the main concourse, where you're then waiting for your regular commercial, the Pan Am flight, with your illustrious first-class tickets. There's about an hour and a half or so delay before you get on the next flight. The next leg takes about 3.5 hours to get from Paris to Istanbul. But then with the time difference from where you are to Istanbul, it creates another 2 hours on top of it. So you have pretty much landed at 7:30 a.m. local time. So you set off at 4:30 in the afternoon in Washington. Then with the 6-hour time difference to get to Paris, it equates to landing in Paris about 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
The airport is starting to wake up for its normal day of operation, and then you'll be leaving there at 7:30. As you are queuing and waiting to get onto the large Pan Am flight, first roll of the game. Can I have spot hidden rolls, please?
All right.
Yes, 56 out of 75.
No for me.
I'm reading the newspaper.
Okay, so just the doctor notices it then. Yeah, in which case your colleagues are distracted. There's similar activity which is going up and down the line of people waiting, handing over their passports, handing over their tickets and such, and going up to the ramp to get into the plane. You see one lady about 5 or 6 people ahead of you. She hands over her stub and her passport, and she just casually looks around and locks eye contact, first of all with the doctor, which is how you notice that she locks eyes with you. And for a second, there is just this utter look of panic and terror that comes across her face. She drops her passport and almost drops her purse, shoulder purse, handbag, and just goes white as a sheet as soon as she sees you. So the attendant says, "You're right, miss." And she says it returning in English, in French actually, as it's Paris. That she's okay, but she just needs to sit down. Takes her ticket stub and boards as quick as she can onto the plane without looking back at you.
This isn't our plane, or this is another plane?
No, this is your plane.
Okay. Do I recognize her at all?
Never seen her before in your life. She looks maybe late 30s, dressed fairly professionally. She's dressed in a trouser suit, nicely tailored. Very expensive handbag that she's carrying. Her hair's done back, and she's got a headband which is keeping it back in place. But you sure you would recognise her if you saw her. You've never seen her before, but the way she looked at you, it's as if she knew exactly who you were, and that something clicked in her mind that equated to utter terror.
I'm thinking back. Have I ever been identified as an agent that I know of? Or am I completely, nobody should have any concept of who I am. It distresses me because now I'm starting to think that maybe she could be KGB, she could be something, and she's recognized me from a briefing that she's had. But I'm trying to wonder if I was ever in such a briefing or why I would ever be mentioned by anybody that would cause that sort of look on her face. Maybe I just look like somebody.
That is a possibility. As far as you're aware, your cover is still intact. It's not as if you advertise the fact that you have done work for the CIA or have been recruited by them. So as far as you're aware, you should be, your cover should be intact.
Okay. I wonder then, and I look at the other two men, they're standing next to me, these two, and I'm wondering, maybe she wasn't looking at me. Maybe she was looking at one of them. Sure, she had eye contact with me, but...
You saw that she definitely clocked at least all three of you. The only one that you know for sure that you made eye contact with directly is yourself. But
right.
You know from how she looked that she did clock the other two and had the same reaction, just terror.
Right. I say, I'm sure there's crowds of people around us. There's noise and there's everything else.
It's the hustle and bustle of an airport in the morning.
Yeah, I just sort of lean into the other gentleman. I say, gentlemen, there was a young woman getting on the airplane just now who looked at me and reacted rather strongly, like she recognized who I am. It may be that she recognized one of you. She's getting on the same airplane we are.
Which one?
Oh, she's already gotten on the airplane. It happened very quickly. But she seemed quite shocked and terrified. Distresses me that we may have been made, we may have recognized. I cannot honestly think of any reason why anybody would recognize me. Might recognize me as a doctor. That wouldn't be unusual, but...
Do you treat patients? Do you have patients?
I have subjects who come in, and I've done some studies on them, and I certainly in a pinch I can certainly do. Like I say, I've got surgery, so. But in general, no, I don't have patients. Not that kind of a doctor. I am that kind of a doctor, but I don't have patients. I'm a research doctor.
Well, point her out to us when we get on the plane, and let's just keep an eye on her, and let's just see how it unfolds. Just as long as one of us is keeping an eye on her.
Okay. I describe her clothing so that they know.
What was her ethnicity, Matt?
From what the doctor would have seen, you reckon that she is either Mediterranean or somewhere between the Mediterranean and Arabia. So more than likely she is from Istanbul or from Turkey.
Got it.
She had a dark complexion. However, there are some people in France that have that sort of complexion, but I'd say Mediterranean, yeah.
Okay.
And she's heading towards Istanbul because we're all heading towards Istanbul. Just keep aware that the whole.
Just keep your wits about you. There's nothing to really worry about.
May be up already, and we've just we haven't even started.
Well, just stay frosty.
Okay. In which case, just about as you're finishing a quick hush discussion, you get up to the main booth where they take they check your passport, they take your ticket, and so on. Then say, "Have a pleasant flight, please. This way." And you head on sort of first class board first. There's a number of people obviously that have come ahead of you. You're a little bit delayed in getting to your seat as there's a slightly tall, again similar ethnicity, you probably think native Turk man, which it seems as though even though it's only 7:30 in the morning, he's already drunk.
Oh.
He is. He's dressed in a long coat with a suit underneath it, carrying a briefcase, which he's trying to get up into the overhead compartment, and keeps missing for the fact he's that bleary-eyed, trying to get it in his compartment above his seat.
Is he like right in front of us, or?
Yeah, immediately in front of you.
Can I help you with that? And I sort of help him push that up there where it's supposed to go.
I'm good. I can get this up. I'm not completely incapable. Maybe just mostly, but no, not completely incapable. No. He does start trying to force this. You can give me a luck roll.
Sure. Also, Turkish accent?
Oh, very, very heavily.
No, I got a 90.
Okay. Yep. He does get the briefcase up there. Okay. Slams the compartment shut, and then slumps down into the chair, immediately looking for the call.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get this started.
Unusual, gentlemen. I sort of whisper back and I say, obviously not a very religious Muslim.
Oh, hell no.
Because he wouldn't drink. Alcohol's forbidden. So...
Right. Having a look, though, because he's blocking the aisle, gives you at least enough time to have a look around and try to clock everyone that's there. You don't see the girl that you saw up ahead of you.
She's not in first class.
Although it is only first class boarding at the moment.
Oh, that's odd. She's in the bathroom.
Bathroom, if you check over to see if anyone's in there, the one of the bathrooms is currently engaged.
All right. So, gentlemen, I suggest we keep our eye on the bathroom after we've taken our seats and see if, unless somebody needs to use the bathroom, you could just wait.
There are two up there.
Just wait for it. Get her when she comes out.
She, as you're quite eagle-eyed there, everyone starts boarding onto the plane. The outer doors closed, and they start taxiing. At which point, the fasten seatbelt sign comes on, and exactly as the sign beeps, the door opens from the bathroom, and she makes her way to her seat. She's about 4 rows ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
She literally darts back into her seat and clamps the buckle together as quick as she can.
Did you see that, gentleman?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no need for spot hidden for that. She is blatantly out in the open. Right. Otherwise, plane takes off. You get to a cruising altitude, and time starts to pass. First class is about half full, so there's plenty of room to spread out, even more room than you would normally have in first class. You can see that the gentleman up front, he already ordered a bottle of champagne from the waitress, from the attendant before the plane got off the ground. He is already partaking in his second, not too long thereafter.
Dang. So what about the woman? What's her demeanor at this time? I mean, is she white knuckling this entire ride? Is she looking back at us? I mean...
Yeah, she does try to sneak back a couple of looks, relatively infrequently. Otherwise, she just sits with her arms on the arms of the chair, gripped from the angle you can see. You can see her left hand gripping the seat. And yet she's holding on pretty securely, and her head is just looking straight forward. So it's not as if she's got her head in a book. She is just looking straight ahead of her, motionless.
What about her interactions with the stewardesses?
Almost non-existent. When the stewardess comes by, says, "Would you like anything?" She just does a quick, and then sends them on their way.
You say that first class is only about half full. I'm wondering if I'm sort of half entertaining the idea of just going over and sitting next to her or near her, and seeing how nervous it makes her. I really don't want her to pull out a gun and shoot me in the head, though. So,
on an airplane, yeah, not exactly the best confines to start letting bullets fly.
But she's not acting like a spy. If she were a spy, she wouldn't give away this much information with her body language. She has either seen one of us before, and that, why would that make her nervous? It would make her nervous if she was up to no good.
Well, I think we also need to remember that each of us has two professions. There's the CIA, and then there's Section 46. We seem to be discounting that she wouldn't know us from the CIA, but we can't discount that she may know us or be aware of us in our other capacity as investigators for Section 46, right? Because she may not be an agent, but could she be a cult member?
Well, you gave me an idea for another possibility. If she was a secretary that worked in Section 46, and she saw the three of us, and she knew who we were, she could be thinking, holy shit, I'm getting on an airplane with agents from 46. What's going to happen to the airplane? She could be thinking that we're investigating some horror that's on the airplane, and now she's on the airplane and she's terrified.
Or she's like, I'm going to be in the same city with these people. Do I really want to be there?
Right. We're like the Men in Black.
Black is slimming.
But I don't know. She seems terrified when she saw us. Who could she be? I keep racking my brains.
That's a unusual, fear. That's. I can't find the right word, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Well, I hope that no cult people know who we are. I mean, we wouldn't be very effective in our jobs if they all had dossiers on us all. They just pick us off one by one. So there's nothing. I'm racking my brains to see if I recognize her in any way, but there's nothing there.
You can give me, because admittedly you have been in Istanbul for a fair while.
Right.
You can give me an int roll, but I'm going to ask for an extreme to even after you sit thinking about it for long enough whether you do recognize her at all. First glance, no.
All right. My intelligence is 80, and I got 30. So no, it's a hard roll, but it's not an extreme.
No, she just doesn't move in the circles that you move in. You are absolutely downright positive you have never seen her before.
I've never seen that woman before. I never forget a face. So it must be one of you two.
You made Ian joke there.
Right.
I don't think.
I mean, do we want to make those rolls? Do we want to? I mean, do I recognize her?
Given the circles that you move, that both of you move in, it would be a stretch, even an extreme roll for Somerton. So no,
okay.
You two again, the similar racking of brain, but you come to the conclusion even quicker. You have no idea who this person is.
Should we start to think of a plan now as to when we land? Should one of us follow her?
We're putting a lot on something that might be nothing at all. I might look like her ex-husband for all we know. I might look like the man that molested her when she was 17.
But is that a risk we want to take if she's ID'd us or you?
I think it's worth thinking about at least maybe one of us following her.
It's too bad this isn't like James Bond, where we have little tracking devices we can pin on her clothes, find out where she's going.
We weren't briefed by Q before we got, we weren't giving any gadgets at the very beginning of the movie.
Q. All we got is
Speaking of which, Ian, would I know what your specialty is?
Doubtful.
Okay. A man of mystery.
Right. So the leading question here is that does anyone want to do anything on the flight, or are you happy to proceed to the point where you land?
Well, here's a question. When we get to Istanbul, are we going to be put in cars and rushed to wherever we're supposed to go? Or do we more or less need to just make our way there on our own? We kind of know where we're going.
It was mentioned in the meeting that Bennett would be picking you up from the airport.
That's right.
She's the female operative.
Yeah, otherwise we could just casually follow her around for a while before we...
Yeah. But there's nothing to say that you might that you couldn't convince Bennett to say follow that car.
Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or do you recognize that woman?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible too that there would be other operatives like us in Istanbul right now, and we could put a trace on that woman there, see what she's up to.
Well, why don't... So I'm curious to follow her when she gets off the plane. So why don't you guys proceed with the plan? I'll make arrangements later to have my luggage transported to our hotel, I guess, right?
Do that.
And then I'll just follow as far as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you guys can stall Bennett until I get there. And if I'm gone for longer than 30, 40 minutes, then just go without me. But
here's the thing. At this point in time on the airplane, she has seen us, and we've seen her, and she knows that we've seen her.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't I just go over there and say, "Excuse me, miss, but why do you seem to be so nervous looking at me?"
Go for it.
What can she do except pee? She might pee the way she's acting. I mean, what? Because there's no. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go take the seat next to her if it's empty.
Yeah, it certainly is. When do you want to make your move? It's a 3.5-hour flight. How long into that do you want to leave it?
Practical about that.
that was like such an innocent question, but
except once again, I mean, we're on the flight together. If she was going to do something, she would just do it, right? I think she's trying to hope. I don't know why. She's sitting there hoping that we won't notice her, but she knows we've noticed her. I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to go out. And I say, guys, you guys are armed. I mean, you guys have ways of getting on the airplane with.
Well, remember, this is the 1970s, too, so it's a little bit more lax, I guess.
Just watch my back. All right?
If we see any black obsidian daggers being pulled from her purse, we'll jump in. It's good, yeah.
Well, and before we go into this, I'm saying to the GM, I am perfectly prepared for any kind of covert knife to the ribs or anything that she might be doing. So I am a well-trained member. So I'm going to go sit next to her.
Do you have another character role just in case? Just a backup, someone that can come out of the bathroom and suddenly appear on our stage, right?
I'm a doctor. I can cure anything. So if I'm dead, I'll just stick a resurrection potion.
Physician, heal thyself quickly.
Right. As I take it then as you're saying you're arriving to this decision fairly quick. This will be within the first hour of the flight then.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to go up. I'll if the seat next to her is empty, I'm going to put my hand on it, and lean over so that she sees me standing there, and I say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I sit here?"
Okay. You can give me a psychology roll as you get that up close and personal.
All right. 4. Let's see what my psychology actually is. Oh, I got 50%. So I did extreme.
You certainly did. Any fears that you have about sitting down and getting knifed in a covert fashion suddenly just disappear from your brain.
Okay.
She is a civilian. She is showing no sign of any kind of professional covert training that she would be on any kind of defense. She is literally just a poor, scared, late 30s-year-old woman.
Okay.
She looks down at your hand with just wide eyes and then follows the arm back up to your face and just says in relatively good English, though, "Yes, I mind. I'd like to be left alone, please." Please go.
I maneuver myself so that I can sort of lean down, and I say, "Ma'am, you seem to be afraid of me, and I don't understand why. Do I look like somebody that you know?"
You can see she's starting to hyperventilate.
I'm like, "It's okay. Calm down. I'm not in any way going to hurt you. I'm just perplexed by your reaction. I'm a doctor."
You can give me a persuade roll, but you're looking for a hard roll this time.
Okay. What is my persuade? 80. Let's see what I get.
You're the right person to make this contact, then.
I got 91.
Maybe not.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, she's going to barf on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm sorry that I bothered you." And I go back. And I look at these two, and I'm just like,
as you turn your back to her, you do indeed hear her frantically trying to get hold of a paper bag, and she unloads into it, and then very quickly after that runs to the toilet.
all right. I go back and I say, I didn't get anything out of her. I think that she's just a civilian. I think she thinks I'm somebody, and I'm nobody.
I think you got something out of her.
Well, yeah, more than I wanted. She had fish.
Maybe red herring.
Maybe red herring.
Gotcha.
This isn't some role-playing game.
So
I write mystery novels. What can I do?
I kind of feel guilty that I scared the barf out of her.
So did you alleviate her fears, or did
No, I think for some reason she's terrified. Now maybe my only guess is that I look like somebody that she knows, and it scared the shit out of her. Maybe she thinks I'm some sort of a CIA operative who's following her around or something. I don't know. They're kind of anti-American, so who knows?
That would probably be more likely to instill anger rather than.
And the airplane's probably full of white people. Sorry, Caucasians. So she wouldn't know one thing from the other.
It's a mixture.
She didn't need us to worry. For all she knows, I'm French.
She did actually default to English, depending on. I imagine that you would have obviously addressed her in your native tongue.
Right. She did speak English.
Mm-hmm.
I heard her speak French in the airport, and she's Turkish.
Mm-hmm.
She's multilingual.
Yes.
I suppose that's not that unusual for somebody from Turkey. Multilingual is far more common. It's not as common in the U.S. as it is in Europe. Yeah. Well, I don't think that it's anything, but if you guys want to have a little fun scaring her to death, and now she's going to have to eat dinner or eat all over again. She probably won't want to. All right, so I'm going to sit down and just order a drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice vodka tonic would be nice.
Yep. So you have all the advantages and perks of being in first class. So the stewardesses will tend to your needs as required. Drinks flow. Good food makes its way out to yourself, and becomes very obvious as time passes. He's not coming out of the toilet. There are every so often a stewardess does go over to the door and has a knock, and you can hear there's a conversation of are you all right in there, miss? And then you catch bits of it depending on how loud she is and depending on how persistent the stewardess is, as if she's bawling her eyes out in there, crying her eyes out, just saying, "Leave me alone."
I do have that effect on women. Well, I feel really guilty now.
She may just have a fear of flying, right?
Flying with me, apparently. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Is my hair like messed up or something? What's wrong with me?
I turned to look and ooh.
Do I have
Your toupee's on straight. It's okay.
It's my real hair.
It just looks like a toupee.
So I don't feel guilty anymore. I just ignore it from this point on.
Well, given that you've got another 2.5 hours, that feeling passes.
With good food and good liquor, it's these things, water under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I figure sometime years from now I'll tell my friends, this is time I was on an airplane. I scared the barf right out of this woman. I still don't know why.
Maybe in a few years you might understand why.
Mm.
Right, in which case the other 2.5 hours fly by, and you land at Yushikur Airport on the outskirts of Istanbul. The plane comes in, it's a nice soft landing, taxi across the runway to the terminal. As soon as the outdoor is open, literally, again, the very instant door is open.
She is gone.
Yeah, she is the first one off the plane.
Can I make an attempt to follow?
You can. I'm going to ask for a hard dex roll.
Okay.
Yeah, because you got to get to the people.
Specifically one very drunk person who's getting out of his seat.
Oh, right. I was going to say that she's only 4 rows ahead of us, but... Oh, nope. He blocked my way.
He is getting his bag out of the compartment.
You can, in which case, you and everyone can give me a spot hidden roll.
All right. No, golly, bummy. I must have had too many vodka tonics.
Pass for me, but regular.
Okay, regular's all you need. You not charge down the aisle, but leap out of your chair as quick as you can and start heading towards the entrance or the exit to the plane. At the same time that the drunk guy gets out of his seat, you can't help it. Just momentum carries you into him, and you collapse on top of him, sending both you and him to the ground. As you hit the ground, or as he hits the ground, his jacket opens, and for a second, there's a glint of gold which just runs out. It just drops out of his pocket and rolls under the adjacent seat. From your up close and personal position, it looks maybe about that long, so maybe an inch, maybe slightly longer. About a centimetre or about half an inch wide at the bottom, a cone of gold with this strained arabesque swirl that runs up to its tip. It's very almost like home-fashioned. It's definitely not mass-produced, but you catch this glint of it as it rolls under the chair. You don't think that the drunk guy has noticed that it's fallen out of his pocket. However, he is looking up at you, going, "What the hell do you think you're doing?"
So sorry, sir. I was in a hurry to get off, and I ran too fast. I apologize. Can I help you get up?
Yeah, you damn well can. He kind of waves both arms around at you. You're kind of looking at and think. You can always see the speech bubble come up for his head, thinking, "Hang on a minute, when did I have 4 arms?"
Grab that bauble.
Yeah, at some point, either as I'm helping him up or as soon as he turns his back, I'll see if I can pocket that without him noticing.
Easily.
Okay.
He is not noticing much around him at the minute.
Okay.
He's certainly in such an inebriated state, there's no way he's going to have noticed that you've got that.
Okay.
You can easily, just as you put your hand down to kind of help prop yourself up, but yeah, you can easily grab that.
All right. And then I'll continue to try to get past him and see if I can catch up to the woman, although I doubt it.
No. The delay gives her too much of a head start. By the time you get out of the main gangway up into the terminal, there are people all around you.
Yeah.
But even then, you think, well, one of the logical places that she would go to would be baggage claim.
I was just going to ask, did I notice her? She didn't even have time to grab any overhead baggage, so
no,
she had no carry-on.
In fact, I won't give it to you because it's something you've asked for specifically. When she ran, you see that she didn't have a handbag with her. So somewhere it's still on the plane.
Oh, okay. Well, having lost her then, I'll make my way back onto the plane because I probably have a bag for my own, unless Ian grabbed it. But, and at the same time, maybe I'll bring that information up to the doctor. Maybe her purse is still there.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck waiting on the gangway.
Yeah.
You had moved ahead, so I think that we may have surmised the same thing. So I look up there and I hang back and wait for people to grab their bags and things. I grab mine.
Yeah.
But then once the people in our area have kind of cleared out, I look up there and I see if there's another bag that somebody hasn't grabbed.
It's not in the overhead because it was a bit small, but it is tucked under her seat.
All right. So I'm going to grab that.
Bless you 3 times.
Second cold of the month.
Oh.
It's because I bragged that I hadn't had a cold in 2 years.
Yeah, I just got over it. It's a killer. Not literally, but it ain't playing around.
So what kind of bag is it?
It's a fairly expensive handbag, worn over the shoulder. Doesn't seem to be very much in it, but there is definitely something in there.
You mean like a purse?
Yeah, kind of. There's a purse within the handbag.
Okay. So I discreetly look through it and see if there's any identification, anything like that.
There is, alongside things like sort of hand wipes, small bottle of perfume, small paperback novel that's in there, and obviously her purse. The purse has plenty of notes in it, so currency, mostly francs, but there's some Turkish lira in there as well, which at this point is pretty much worth nothing. It's one of the worst valued currencies in the world. But there is a small, we'll call it a case rather than a box, that's about yay long, about yay wide, about the right kind of size for a business card. And as you open it up, it is in fact a small stack of business cards, all the same.
I pull one of them out, close the case back up. What does the business card say?
The name is... I have to make sure my pronunciation's right here. Maram Coach. And it has an address for the bear with me a second. It has an address for the Istanbul University.
Oh, University of Istanbul. That might be where she saw me. I still don't know why she wouldn't react. Why she would react the way she did.
The main part of her, where it lists her profession, rather than just saying Istanbul University, rather than University of Istanbul, just states in Turkish, architect.
She's an architect. Now, I really don't know why she would have anything to do with me.
Yep, it's not a sphere that you move in. And
Yeah.
you're aware of the Istanbul University. It's in kind of the downtown area. It's very near the mosques. It's across
Right.
across the Galata Bridge from Belahu.
Well, nothing in for interesting other than that.
No, well thumbed paperback novel.
I take the business card and slip it into my jacket pocket, put everything back the way that it was, and then as we're exiting the airplane, I hand it to the stewardess, and I say, "The woman that was ahead of us in the airplane left this in her seat. She must have missed it. Maybe you could put it in Lost and Found or whatever."
Yeah, the stewardess is a bit surprised. But, oh yeah, that's well. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll get that to the airport Lost and Found.
All right. Well, gentlemen, let's see. We're looking for Miss Bennett. Is this somebody any of us know?
You will know her by sight because you've touched base with the station in Istanbul before. Probably not had much to do with her, but you know her by sight.
You must be Miss Bennett.
Yep, and heading out through through passport control, through and such, through baggage claim. Outside by the taxi rank, there is a fairly nice sedan, say big stretch, not limo style, but stretch that you've got plenty of room. And again, a lady in her, we think, late 30s, early 40s.
Can I interrupt?
Waiting there.
Can I interrupt there? Sorry, Tom, you jumped a little ahead of me too fast there.
I'm sorry.
When we're still like making our way from the plane through the baggage area, I'm gonna take that gold thing out and look at it closer.
Okay.
And at the same time, if it seems strange to any of us, maybe I'll mention that, keep an eye on that guy.
You're showing it to everyone else?
Yeah. Because I don't speak Arabic. Is that what you said, Arabic?
Arabesque. It's like a pattern.
Right.
It's more
flowery.
Style. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's not writing.
No, it's definitely not writing, no.
Okay.
However, Jacoby's seen stuff like this before. This would, you reckon this is the kind of gold that would be fashioned underwater, if you get my drift?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And the drunk man had this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what this is?
Well, I have a very, very strong suspicion. We'll talk when we're in private about it. For now, it's just too much information around here, but we need to find out who that man was and what was going on here or why he was here. I'm trying to think now if I got a good look at his face.
Yeah.
And if there were any features that I could identify as telling,
He has somewhat of a rugged expression. You could definitely describe him fairly well. Sort of a slightly long face, but maybe a high forehead.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you've got enough of enough key indicators that it might jog someone's memory if they'd met him, or be able to start some kind of search for him.
Well, what I was what I was also talking about was certain lineages that I'm familiar with.
Oh, nothing on that line, no.
Okay. Very interesting, though. So we'll talk about that later. I'll explain that to you later. And as far as I can tell you what it is, but so we meet Miss Bennett, and where is she? She's taking us to the consulate.
Yep, you'll be. She's very much like yourself. She's very stoic. She has a very emotionless demeanor when you approach her outside the airport.
Okay.
She opens the car door for you, pretty much without just saying a word, and just looks at the seat and looks back up at you three.
What a lovely woman, so chilly. All right. So we're all in the. I guess we're all in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Are they taking us to the consulate, or are they taking us to our hotel or wherever? I actually have a place, but
I would assume we would start at the consulate, depending on the time of day.
You land at 1 p.m. local time.
okay. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Yeah, even though driving from the airport all the way up to the American consulate is probably going to take you at least a couple of hours.
Oh.
It is a long way north of the city, or at least north of downtown and north of where the airport is.
It's probably terrible traffic in certain parts too, because the city's not built for traffic.
There are certain wide boulevards that mainly again go through the international quarter through Bella, but you still then got to get through the rest of the city even downtown.
Right.
But she seems to have quite a confident command of the vehicle as she's driving along. She's not like speeding, but she's driving at a nice, comfortable speed, going around traffic where she can, and does take a couple of twists and turns where you think, yeah, she's a local that's been here a while and knows her way to get round downtown and up towards the north without getting stuck in any traffic jams. Also, being outside of rush hour as well helps quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I look back at Ian and Robert, and I'm like, now if you're not used to driving in this kind of a foreign country, I'd suggest you close your eyes, because it's gonna scare the shit out of you. These people drive like maniacs, like you've never seen.
Anytime that Dr. Jacoby goes into lecture mode, I'm just gonna roll my eyes just a little bit.
I'm sorry, it comes from being a research scientist. I'm always teaching people shit.
There is a definite air of how she drives that she is treating every other driver on the road as an enemy combatant.
Kill or be killed.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. The couple of hours get through again uneventfully. Maybe a couple of times when she takes a corner a little bit too fast, but she is pretty quiet all the journey up there. She doesn't really speak unless spoken to. It really depends if anyone wants to strike up conversation with her or not.
We haven't met her before, right?
No.
Okay.
I've seen her, but she's a field agent. She's just being doing her job, you know.
Well, I guess I'll ask then, because if she's only like one of, say, 3 people that knows who we are, she's obviously been briefed to some degree. So I'll just ask her first, make proper greetings to her. Hello, Miss Bennett. And I'll ask, are you familiar with this project at all yet, or?
She just take a bit of a, not a long breath in, but definitely a pronounced breath in. I'm aware.
Okay. Is there anything additional that you might be able to share with us?
She cocks her head slightly. What do you mean by additional?
Well, have you met this Vadim?
No, I've not met him personally.
Okay.
I'm familiar with Makar.
Okay.
It was actually myself that interviewed him when he came in.
And what's your take on him? Does he seem trustworthy? We were having a discussion earlier about his level of trust.
I think for someone who charges such a high price for information that he gives, there is a certain degree of brought trust. That as long as you can pay him for the info, he will make sure that the amount he's being paid means that he doesn't have to worry about being paid by anyone else.
Mm-hmm. So he's a businessman.
Very much so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Has anything changed in the last 24 hours since we were previously briefed?
No. The only thing, I'm not sure if you've been communicated this by your superiors yet, that we have a meeting set up with him for tomorrow night.
Oh, good.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, well, that'll be taking place at the restaurant at the top of the Glatter Tower.
All right. How familiar are you with with other business going on in the city? If I does the name Marham Coach mean anything to you?
You can see that she thinks for a second. No, don't believe I've... Marham, female name. No, I don't believe I've met her or had any dealings with her. Is she connected with Kazakov?
Not that I know of. I believe she's an architect. It was a strange encounter we had on the airplane. She seemed for some reason to recognize one of us. But we can't think of any reason why. She just seems to be a she had no, from her demeanor, she had no training whatsoever. She was not an agent of any kind.
Yeah, she raises an eyebrow. Can you describe her?
Yeah, so I basically give her a fairly complete description of her.
Yeah, she just shakes her head more through the description that, no, not someone I'm aware of. Definitely not anyone that's at least a big player if they are connected with any of the intelligence agencies out here. Definitely no one I'm familiar with. May the MIT connected, but again, I've not heard of her. The only MIT that we know that's in town at the minute is Barris.
Well, from what I my opinion is that she's not connected in that way. She wouldn't have acted the way that she did. She acted as if she had seen a ghost, and it just struck me. It's probably nothing. I probably reminded her of an ex-husband or something like that, and it scared her. I don't know what, but women are not exactly treated very well by some people in these sort of countries.
Your choice of words is interesting there. Everyone can give me a psychology roll when one particular word is mentioned.
Pass. Barely. 3 points.
Regular's fine.
I'm 1 point away from an extreme.
Oh, okay, so you are just significantly better. And Summerton?
Extreme pass.
Oh, wow, okay, so we got one from each, regular, hard, and extreme. The regular, then, gives you... particularly mentioned about ghosts, that she has a little bit of she almost not flinches, but you can see her hands get a little bit tighter on the wheel.
Okay.
And then she... Well, you see that. The hard success gives you... Yeah, she definitely tries to cover it up. She... like her poker face slipped for a moment, but that word touched a nerve. With the extreme, there's a little bit of twinge of guilt there as well. It's definitely touched a nerve that something that she's guilty about has surfaced. But not in connection with her, just when you say about ghosts. And in which case you get to the consulate. She hops out of the car. She opens the door for you and says, you can head through, head up to the consul's office. Leighton and Harlow will be expecting you there.
Excellent.
Looking at the time, I think that is probably the best point at which we can call it a night.
That's perfect timing.
Really a good scenario. This is wonderful. I feel like a spy. All right. Well, our players tonight for this episode included Jeff Wilkins, Bill Mize, myself, and Matthew Sanderson as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We love reading them. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.